Have you ever wondered why some people seem to struggle for years just to build up a little savings, while others reach a point where their wealth suddenly seems to explode? What's the difference? Is it luck, a high-paying job, or something else entirely? The surprising truth is this: the turning point in wealth doesn't come at $1 million, or even $500,000. The real magic number is actually your first $100,000. That milestone completely changes the game. Now, most people assume that building wealth is about earning massive paychecks or getting rich overnight. But that's not how it works. In fact, the first $100,000 is the toughest barrier you'll ever face. It's like climbing a mountain where every step feels exhausting. Every dollar feels like a battle. Every small win feels painfully slow. But here's where things get exciting. Once you cross that threshold, everything starts to shift. Your money starts working harder than you do. Suddenly, saving and investing doesn't feel like pushing a boulder uphill. It feels like that boulder is finally rolling downhill, gathering speed on its own. Let's put this into perspective. Imagine you have $10,000 invested in something like the S&P 500, which historically has averaged about 10% returns a year. You've just made $1,000. That's nice, but it's not life-changing. Now imagine you've built up $100,000 instead. That same 10% return from the S&P 500 gives you $10,000. Think about that for a second. That's the difference between covering a small bill and covering an entire month's rent or even a year of car payments. And you didn't have to do anything but let your money sit there. This is the first major reason wealth skyrockets after $100,000. Compound growth finally has enough fuel. Compounding is like gravity for money. The bigger the number gets, the more powerful it becomes. At first, it feels like nothing's happening. But then the numbers start stacking on top of each other faster and faster. But compounding isn't the only factor. By the time you've reached $100,000, you've already done something more important than growing your money. You've built the habits that got you there. Think about it. You've learned how to budget, how to save consistently, how to invest without panicking every time the market dips. That discipline is the foundation. Habits don't stop when you reach 6 figures. They only multiply. Every dollar you add after $100,000 grows with the weight of all the knowledge and experience you've gained along the way. And then comes the part where your money transforms from savings into a machine. At $100,000, your wealth begins to create new streams of income: dividends from stocks, interest from bonds or savings accounts, rental income from real estate, maybe even profits from a small side business you've invested in. Suddenly, it's not just you going to work every day. Your money is working right alongside you, building more money without your direct effort. To visualize this, picture a snowball at the top of a hill. At the very beginning, when it's tiny, rolling it forward feels slow and frustrating. But as it gathers snow, it grows larger and heavier, and soon it's rolling down the hill on its own, picking up speed and mass with every turn. That's exactly what happens to your net worth after you cross $100,000. It starts to roll faster, grow bigger, and before long, it feels unstoppable. Now here's something important to remember. The first $100,000 is always the hardest. Why? Because when you're starting out, you're fighting against expenses, low savings rates, and sometimes even debt. It takes discipline to say no to short-term pleasures so you can put money into your long-term future. It takes patience to invest when the numbers look small. And it takes resilience to keep going when it feels like progress is crawling. But history proves that those who push through this stage change their lives. Millionaires and billionaires alike have talked about how the first $100,000 was their hardest but most crucial step. Warren Buffett himself once said that everyone should focus relentlessly on saving that first $100,000, because after that, compounding takes over and does the heavy lifting. Let's take a real-world example. Imagine 2 people. One has $10,000 invested, the other has $100,000. Both put their money into something like the S&P 500, growing at roughly 10% a year. After 10 years, the first person ends up with about $26,000. That's decent growth. But the person who started with $100,000, they now have over $259,000. That's a $233,000 difference, all because of the starting amount. That's the kind of leap that shows why hitting six figures completely transforms your financial trajectory. And here's the part that often surprises people. Once you reach that $100,000 mark, your mindset shifts too. Money stops being just something you chase, and it starts becoming a tool you can direct. You begin to think long-term. You look at opportunities differently. You're not just trying to survive paycheck to paycheck, you're thinking about building wealth, creating security, and even freedom. Of course, it's worth noting that the $100,000 mark doesn't mean you can stop working hard or stop saving. It's not a finish line, it's a launching pad. The habits, the discipline, and the compounding effect all work together to accelerate you forward. Think of it like pushing a heavy car. At first, every ounce of energy goes into just getting it to budge. But once it's rolling, you don't have to push as hard. The momentum carries it forward. That's exactly how wealth works once you cross that first major threshold. The challenge is getting there and staying consistent enough to let the process work. Saving your first $1,000 feels slow. $10,000 feels even harder. But when you finally hit that $100,000, something shifts. Suddenly, instead of your money creeping forward, it begins multiplying. Investments in things like the S&P 500 start generating meaningful returns, compound interest feels real instead of abstract, and your financial confidence skyrockets. You're no longer just surviving, you're building. And if you're sitting there frustrated because you feel like you're moving too slowly, remember this. It's supposed to feel tough in the beginning. That's the test. It's where most people give up. But the ones who keep going, who stick with the plan even when it feels impossible, are the ones who end up breaking through. And once you cross that first $100,000, everything changes. The momentum builds, the machine starts running, and before long, your money is building wealth faster than you ever imagined. That's when you stop working for every dollar, and your dollars start working for you. Imagine waking up and realizing you made more in your sleep from investments like the S&P 500 than you did grinding away at your job just a few years earlier. That's not luck. It's the reward for patience, discipline, and consistency. So don't think of $100,000 as the end goal. Think of it as the doorway. Beyond it lies financial freedom, peace of mind, and the power to make choices on your own terms. And that's the real secret to why net worth skyrockets after $100,000. It's not just about the number, it's about the shift in control, momentum, and confidence that comes with it. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe for more simple money breakdowns that can completely change your financial future. Because the sooner you understand how money really works, the sooner you can make it work for you.